We're rolling.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday here on the walk-off. And everybody, thank you so much for hitting a click or joining us on audio. I know it's been a rough 10 days here for us on the walk-off. I know I've gotten several messages from people on Twitter being like, what the heck's going on, guys? I know we've both been dealing with it. All we can say is to start with, apologies. It kind of sucks. It's been bad luck. Our computer has been really on the fritz. We literally laid down a full mailbag last Tuesday, and then the computer crashed as we were wrapping up the last comment.
We're like 50 minutes into the episode, and then it just died out of nowhere.
Our computer hasn't had the capability. We had to miss a long toss 2 weeks ago because Adam and I weren't available, and that's only the second long toss we'd ever missed. And then we missed one again last week because the computer just wasn't working.
Wouldn't go.
Now, here's one thing that both Adam and I want to address, because I know that we have had very generous donations from you, our listeners. The community within the walk-off has been nothing but fantastic to try and raise money for this new computer. And we're almost there, folks. Yeah, we're within a week or two, hopefully, of being able to go out and actually fix this problem permanently. I know, Adam, you can kind of just talk on the fact that you've rebooted your computer completely, and fingers crossed.
This is a full factory reset at this point, so hopefully everything's set up correctly. I'm sure we'll get complaints that our audio is totally unbalanced now. You're too quiet or I'm way too quiet. Whatever. We're here. We made it.
If we could just get back to audio being our problem, this is a success.
Exactly.
So again, a big apologies to everyone. I know that YouTube is probably going to completely make us bust our butt again to get the algorithm back to where it should be. I know our views are going to be down. For those on audio who have continued to listen, thank you so much. It's been frustrating on our end too, if it makes you feel any better.
Good time.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get into it here. Thank you very much again to everyone within the walk-off community. Every week we do comb through Discord, which is always free to join. We've got pushing 200 members there of rabid Blue Jays fans. That's the fun thing, that while we've been on this 10-day hiatus, unwanted hiatus, the Discord has still been going strong. So it's been nice to see there.
The community is alive and well. For sure.
The community is alive and well. We did get a few DMs from Twitter that we're going to get to. You can, of course, always message us on Twitter or on Instagram. It's at Walk-Off Podcast on Twitter, the Walk-Off Podcast on Instagram. We are going to give a shout-out to all our Patreon at the end of the episode here. Of course, we really appreciate all of you. We are getting very close to that computer, and then hopefully we can go with live hits every single day, which would be great.
More content. There you go.
Of course, when the Blue Jays start winning is when this really, we're in the thick of a playoff race, and this is when our equipment starts to misbehave.
Perfect timing. Great business strategy.
Perfect time.
Right
okay, so we'll get into it here. Yeah. Before we do, I did just want to say, holy cow, man. I just got back from Pittsburgh late last night. Had
PNC
the old
Park.
bachelor party there, PNC Park. And, dude, it was magic, man. It blew me away, the amount of Blue Jays fans that made the trek down to Pittsburgh for that series. PNC Park, of course, known as one of the more beautiful stadiums in baseball, and Jays fans took advantage of it. It was wild, man.
I mean, the videos and the pictures that you sent me sure were nice, so...
Yeah.
To anybody, too, that's listening and thought Scott and I were best buds and that I would be invited to his bachelor party, and you're wondering, oh, maybe they're not that close. What the fuck? He did invite me.
Yes, I did.
But I snubbed him.
I'm so glad you brought this up. It's on my list of things to bring up. Man, I did invite Adam.
I snubbed him. I snubbed him out of spite because last year I got married, invited Scott to my wedding. My wedding list was 50 people. 45 of those people were my wife's side of the family. I had my mom, my dad, my two brothers, my nephew, and Scott snubbed me. So
Yeah,
I snubbed
still
him
feel
back.
bad. There we
It's
go.
all
The
right.
double
We're
snub.
even now. Although
That's
I
good
missed
for the
out on
goose.
the PNC Park, so I kind of got the worst end of that deal. I should have just swallowed my pride and went.
By the way, take a look at this. So this is what the boys all made hats that we all wore, and this is the
Oh my God! Are
the
Wow.
Belfronto Smoke Jays. And then you see the little doober there.
that
with my mouth.
is quite the logo with your face as a Blue Jay. Wow!
They really augmented the nose. They didn't augment it that much.
That is just a photo of you with a blue hint, hey?
That's right.
Interesting.
I'm not going to show
That's
it, but
super
remind
cool.
me afterwards, Adam, and I'll send you their original plan. It was the Chief Wahoo, but with my
Oh
face
my
on, and then they're like, "No, we can't do this. That doesn't look."
Yeah,
Instead
we'll
of
just-
the feather in his hat, it was a doobie.
We can't air any of this.
Yeah, you're like, we can't even talk about this.
This is all canceled. All right, welcome to Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday.
If there was
afternoon.
ever an episode to talk about this, it's this episode, which YouTube is going to show no love for, I'm sure.
Exactly, we're safe. We're full shadow banned. All right, let's get into the comments.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first one comes in from Twitter. Jillian Danes DM'd us and said, "It's nice to see Berrios looking better, but he still seems off, even when he wins. Is it just me, or do you guys think he's back to normal?"
I don't think it's just you, Jillian. It's been kind of an interesting little turn of events for Berrios.
Just gonna pull up his
Because
recent stats here.
the Blue Jays are now 10-2 in the last 12 games started by Jose Berrios, which paints a picture of dominance.
Yeah.
But it really hasn't been as dominant as that record would show. I know even yesterday, and this was like an interesting little thing that was pointed out on Twitter, Jose Berrios threw 47 fastballs. The Orioles swung at 24 of them and missed 0.
Wow.
He only got 2 called strikes, one of which came on a 3-0 count that the guy was taking all the way. Jose Berrios' fastball is excellent. That is one of the reasons why he has been so consistent as a starter over the last 6 years when he was in a Twins uniform. It's one of the big reasons why the Blue Jays gave up top 5 prospects to go get him. And it's definitely the reason why they locked him up for 7 years, $130 million. Not only that, it really plays up his curveball. We saw him just dominate with his changeup last night. But for whatever reason, he's not hitting his spots with his fastball. A fastball that normally averages between 95 and 97 miles an hour. So Berrios is literally limping through this 2022 season on his secondary pitches. And it's really hard to make those secondary pitches their best without hitting your spots with your fastball. Now, the 10-2 record, I can't explain. I don't get it. But I'm sure you've got numbers in front of you right now, Adam, that we can dive into a little more here.
Yeah, I mean, dating back to July 1st, it's like, 8-2 since July 1st. But if I'm looking at the most, like, any sample size you look at, really, it's the same thing. It's like, it's like 1
gives
earned
up
run
runs.
through 7 innings. And then the next game, it's 5 earned runs through 3 innings. And then it's 8 earned runs through 4 innings. But then it's 1 through 6 2/3, 2 through 6. And then the most recent one, 4 through 5 2/3. But he keeps winning. The Jays are showing up to support him. But man, is that going to be hard to trust come playoff time? But I guess, like, what else do you do, right? Like, he's going to get one of the 3 playoff games. Or does it go to Stripling?
No, it goes Stripling.
Does it?
Dude, Ross Stripling has the lowest walk rate in MLB. No one's talking about it. He walks 4% of the hitters he's facing. He has a better walk rate than Cy Young candidates Justin Verlander, Alec Manoa. Shohei Ohtani. Ross Stripling has even pitched enough innings that he should, and his numbers are good enough that he should probably even be getting talked about for the Cy Young. There's no one doing it. But I'm going to mention it right now on the walk-off here. Ross Stripling, 100%, is a Toronto Blue Jay starting pitcher come the playoffs. There is no doubt in my mind. And you know what? Jose Berrios might really play up as the guy to come out of the bullpen and pitch 2 or 3 innings, where he can really focus in on his secondary stuff or rear back and, in certain situations, touch that high fastball. This is what made Jose Berrios so good last year, is he was dialed in when it came to hitting his spot on the high fastball. So guys are swinging through the high heat, and then he'd drop that big, nasty curveball in there, and he'd either freeze guys because he hits he hits his spots with his curveball, or they're just so far in front of it because it looks so identical to the fastball coming out of his hand. One thing that he's always done very well. I don't know what Jose Berrios could just find it. I just don't know. Again, you look at the win record, it's insane how much this team wins when Jose Berrios is on the mound. But then you deep dive into the numbers, and it's not pretty.
To contrast that, 1 win in his last 5 starts. Name that Toronto Blue Jays pitcher.
Alec Manoa.
Alec Manoa. Yeah. Can we talk Alec Manoa for just 1 second before we move on?
Yeah.
Here? Because, I mean, coming out of the All-Star break, he'd already reached his career innings single season total, right? I was concerned, for sure. I don't know how you were feeling about Alec Manoa. Workload management, whatever vocab you want to put on it, right? But the numbers were trending in a bad direction. Mm-hmm. Right, coming out of the All-Star break, he was not going as deep into games. He was giving up more runs. I do just want to acknowledge the fact that in his last 3 starts, he's pitched 6 innings, 7 innings, 7 and a third.
Yeah,
and he's given up 2 earned runs over those 3 starts.
It was pretty darn cool in Pittsburgh watching him walk off the field to a standing ovation from Blue Jays fans. Man, It was kind of funny. Pirates fans just really did not know what hit them. The Saturday night was insane during that bullpen game. There were points where the PA announcer came on and started to get the Go Bucks Go going, and Blue Jays fans overpowered the PA system. Man, it was just nuts. I don't know if you have the capability of throwing that little 13-second clip up or whatever I sent you on the
maybe
iPhone.
I do, maybe I don't. We'll see how the computer holds
see how
up
it
in
goes.
the editing.
Either way, it was pretty darn impressive to watch the field, and just especially the Pirates lost that game 4-1 pretty handily, right? So it was there was just no energy from Pirates fans, and they're a bad team too, right? If anything, Pirates fans were getting mad, and you could hear them yelling at Jays fans stuff like, "Big deal, you're beating the Pirates." But
O'Neal Cruz is a reason to be optimistic if you're
oh boy,
Pittsburgh Pirates fan.
That home run he hit on Sunday, man, what a missile. That was insane. I was obviously all about the Jays, but that one was eye-opening. I was like, whew.
I'm not looking forward to O'Neal Cruz in a Yankees uniform in about 4 years. Gross.
Neither are Pirates fans.
That's true. That's true. All right. Thanks for that comment, Jillian. I think we are both, can I summarize this as we are both a little bit on the concerned level still with Jose Berrios, despite the success that he's had as of late?
Exactly. I think that's a perfect summary, Adam.
All right. Back in the full rhythm of things then. All right. Next, we've got at Down by the Jays on Twitter messaged us late last night after that memorable doubleheader against the Baltimore Orioles. And they said, holy SH word, what a doubleheader. I think we all owe Bo a big apology because the guy is currently on fire. Hope Mailbag is back tomorrow, and I'd love if you talk Bo Bichette a little. Fingers crossed. I mean, we are 15 minutes into this, and it hasn't crashed yet, so knock on wood. We'll see. Bo Bichette, 3 home run game yesterday.
The bat trick. Joining Vladdy.
Yeah. Has this changed your opinions on Bo and on the season that he's had? Is this getting hot at the right time? Like, let's read the tea leaves here, Scott. What is the takeaway?
Okay, so a few things, in my opinion. As Blue Jays fans who have watched Bo Bichette come up since 2019, it is really easy to underappreciate him. How many shortstops under the age of 25 have put up 40-plus doubles, 20-plus home runs, and 10-plus stolen bases in a season?
How many shortstops under the age of 25? I would guess Fernando Tatis Jr. has done it. Did A-Rod ever do it?
The answer is 0.
0.
The answer is no shortstop has done that. Bo is at 21 home runs, and I think he's at 39 doubles. So he will hit 40 doubles. He's at 9 stolen bases, so he should get that 10th. And this is a down year. This is Bo Bichette in a down year.
All right, bad Bo is still good Bo. I get it. Keep these little tidbits coming. I want to feel good, Scott. I've been feeling bad for the last 10 days. Give me more of this sunshine and rainbows.
He has raised his OPS from 715 to 759 in the span of 15 games, dude.
Well, 3 home runs in one game, that'll help.
It'll help. I mean, he's hit 5 home runs in the last 5 games. Bichette is now hitting 272. Again, 21 home runs. He has a weighted runs created plus of 118. So he's well above average now, which is one thing, like WRC plus is the stat that every baseball nerd, analytic nerd just gets a little bit of a boner over. So, and I know that they've been all upset about Bo's WRC plus. Well, he's the only shortstops in the league with a higher WRC plus right now is Xander Bogaerts, Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor, and Corey Seager. Just the best shortstops in the league.
So that puts him at 6? There's 7 on that list?
Yeah. I mean, so Bo still strikes out a lot. He's always an aggressive guy, and his strikeout rate is the highest it's ever been at 24%. But he does lead shortstops in exit velo, an average exit velo of 92 miles per hour. He ranks 5th among shortstops in barrel rate. I know these are all peripheral stats, but the guy is looking the best he has all season. And if there's a time for Bo Bichette to get hot, man, this is it.
Yes. Okay. I want to add a few things here. Struggles with the plate discipline. I would say that of all the offensive skill categories, criteria, I don't know how we want to differentiate here, but I would say plate discipline is the most teachable thing that can be worked on, right? Like, I think chase rate can be adjusted easier than teaching Kevin Biggio how to increase his exit velo. Does that make you see what I'm saying here?
100%. And this is the thing: is it's just plate discipline comes with experience. You watch guys go from 22 in the major leagues to 32. Every single guy's plate discipline is better, without exception, or they're not in the MLB or in MLB anymore.
So that being said, is this the perfect time for him to get hot? Yeah. Would I ever enjoy another September to remember like last year, hopefully with a different ending? Does this change your opinion of Bo Bichette long-term as a Blue Jay?
I don't know, man. Does it change yours?
No, not at all. You know what this does for me? And we're going to talk about this when we get to Wyatt.
It increases his value.
It increases his trade value. Oh, boy, does it ever. Because if we're saying this, just as a couple of freaking dumb yahoos in Alberta, right, that we could teach plate discipline. You can't teach everything else that he's excelling at, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be a team who says, yeah, we can teach him how to lay off that whatever pitch that he keeps chasing or whatever, right? Like, give us an off season with him and we can work on that. If he's already like a top 10 shortstop offensively, yeah, like there's going to be some teams that are interested in Bo Bichette. And if he can end this season strong, that is going to increase that trade value. And I don't know. I hate even saying we should trade Bo Bichette. I don't think we should or shouldn't. I don't know how I feel about it.
I don't think we should trade Bo Bichette, but I don't think Bo Bichette is untouchable anymore.
Sure.
I think Alek Manoa and Vladdy Guerrero Jr. are our only untouchables on this team right now.
I would add Jordan Romano to that list.
That's fair.
The Markham Madman. Come on. He's got 30-plus saves at this point. He goes out for multiple innings when we need him to now. And he's honestly, Jordan Romano has done it this year with like a drop in his velo.
So Jordan Romano in his last 22 appearances.
I love that you're just ready with Jordan Romano stats. This is great, Scott.
I saw these on Sunday and I was like, holy crap, especially after watching him get that big save on Saturday night, and the Blue Jays fans were just losing their mind, and every Pirates fan was like, who is this guy? Because National League fans, right? So Jordan Romano in his last 22 appearances, that's 24.1 innings pitched. 28 K, so more than a K per inning. 4 walks.
Wow.
4 walks, and one of them was an intentional walk. He's allowed
Was that like an extra innings? Let's put a guy on to... Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Intentional walk.
3 earned runs in 24 innings. That gives him an ERA of 1.11. He's got a 4% walk rate and a 30% K rate.
In the entirety of the MLB, Jordan Romano is only 1 save off of the lead.
With the fall of Josh Hader, there is a really good argument Jordan Romano is the best closer in baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to deep dive the numbers on other guys like Liam Hendricks and that kid in Cleveland. I can't think of his name now.
Emmanuel Clace.
Yeah, Emmanuel Clace. I mean, we'd have to deep dive the numbers and really do a comparison. But, yeah, like, he is for sure in that discussion. And that's something that we've been talking about since the preseason, that we thought he could make that leap forward. I know when we talked to Jeff Blair, he was skeptical, worried that, he pitching on short rest, couldn't do 2 innings. Now we've seen it in the second half of this season. We've seen it.
We've seen him come out 3 days in a row. We've watched him pitch 2 innings. This is a playoff pitcher, man. The guy's a psycho. I love it.
He's a psychopath. Absolutely.
Has anyone also seen and maybe I'll send you the ring he wears? It's the snake ring. It's like the big snake ring wraps all the way around his. It's so funny. I'll send you the picture and then maybe
we'll throw it up in Discord and stuff for sure.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So thanks for that comment. Yeah, Blue Jays took 2 big games against the Baltimore Orioles to open up this 4-game stand. How important is this series, Scott?
Just the most important series of the year.
It really is. I mean, are we putting too much pressure on it? Because I feel like we're going to say that again the next time we see the Baltimore Orioles.
This is the beauty of September baseball, man. Yeah, this is the hunt for the playoffs. Give this to me every year.
I mean, okay, well, here's the thing. Baltimore was what? 2.5 games back of the Blue Jays coming into this series? Like, this series has the potential for the Baltimore Orioles to surpass the Blue Jays in that final wild card spot.
And not anymore, baby.
Not anymore, but we got to keep at it, right? We got to finish strong. But this is the sort of like tonight. This is the sort of like killer instinct that we need to see this Blue Jays team have, where Baltimore, by the way, we've got to take advantage of this team. We got to put some, like, a little bit of distance between ourselves in this moment, I think, and really set the tone for the rest of September. We got 2 more against Baltimore. You said Mitch White pitching tonight against Kyle Bradish. Bradish
Alec
has been
Manoa. Yeah, Bradish
has been pitching
good.
very well. His last 2 outings against the Blue Jays, he beat us both of those games. Hasn't given up a run in 2 starts. That was one against the Houston Astros. No slouches there. He went 8 innings, 0 earned runs, giving up 2 hits. And the Cleveland Guardians, he went 7 innings and gave up 0 earned runs as well. So
2 very good teams.
Kyle Bradish has an ERA at home of 6.29. Very high. 5.17 on the season. But don't overlook it. Don't think that this is like a soft matchup. He has figured something out. And
sample size is part of that too.
As of late.
Sample size is part of that too, because he had a couple blow ups there. But no, if you look at if you zoom in on his last 6 starts, he's been pretty darn good.
Absolutely. So a tough matchup, like you said. We've got Mitch White going, and then tomorrow we've got Alec Manoa versus Dean Kramer. Hopefully, Alec Manoa continues to ball out the way he has been the last 3 starts, and we can leave town with 3 or 4 wins in this series.
100%. This leads into the next comment perfectly from Discord, SCTI.
Yeah. SCTI in Discord posted the standings, pointing out that the Yankees had a 15.5 game lead on the division July 8th, heading into the All-Star break. And then he ends his comment with, I hope we see a full collapse, and points out that the Rays are 5 back and the Jays are 5.5 back.
That is wild. These teams have made up 10-plus games each since July 8th, since the All-Star break.
Man, if we hadn't have freaking got swept by the Angels, though.
I know. I know.
That's so frustrating. Those stupid
all sorts
Angels,
of ifs
man.
here. Even with that sweep, though, American League since August 17th, the Jays are 14-5, Tampa Bay 13-5, Houston 12-5, Seattle 12-5, Baltimore 10-9, the Yankees 9-9.
Right in the thick of things, it's going to be quite the September. Quite the September. Is anybody catching the Yankees, Scott?
I'm going to say no, but I think it's going to be very, very close.
Okay.
5.5 is still a lot.
It's still a lot.
There's only 3 weeks of baseball left here.
Yeah, 28 games left for the Blue Jays to make up 6 games.
You need the Yankees to continue.
Task.
You need the Yankees to continue to face plant, and you need to continue to play 700 baseball.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping. We do have some big matchups. I don't know about. All right, let's just have a quick look at the wild card standings here, as we've got Tampa Bay currently holding on to that first wild card spot. Seattle tied with them. Toronto half a game back.
What a race.
Baltimore 4.5 games back, but I feel like because we play Baltimore so many more times,
that's a roll of the dice.
That is make-upable. Like we just talk about 5.5 games. Can we catch the Yankees in 28 games? And that's going to be hard to do, right? But Baltimore's only 4.5 back of us with 28 games left, right? But they play us, I think, 8 more times or 9 or 10 more times.
8 or 9 more times, something like that.
Yeah, we got 3 at the end of the year. We got 3 next week and 2 coming up right now. So 8 more games. So, like, that's make-upable, whereas we only play
8 more against the Rays, too, right?
9 more against the Rays, actually.
And only 3 against the Yanks.
Yeah. 5-game series against the Rays. On the other side of this Texas Rangers series, including the doubleheader. I think that's a makeup game for a rain out. Yeah, I mean, how do you see this wild card playing out? Do you think it just holds as it is? Tampa's in the number 1 spot, Seattle number 2, and Toronto brings up the rear? Honestly, like not as a Jays fan. Give me your honest opinion here.
No, I think the Jays are going to do it.
Yeah.
I think they're getting hot at the right time. I like their pitching. Shane McClanahan being on the IL definitely hurts the Rays. The Rays are in. I think the Mariners are in. I think we're looking at the wild card teams right now as the standings sit. I don't think Minnesota or Cleveland is going to come up from the rear. The only wild card possibility outside of those 3, in my opinion, is Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think, honestly, and I hate saying this, I think the Seattle Mariners are going to get that first wild card spot.
That's
their schedule's so soft,
schedule,
man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They got the White Sox. They just lost yesterday, but they play the White Sox 2 more times. And then they got the Braves. Then they got the Padres for 2. But then after that, it's a bunch of duds. They got the Angels for 4. They got the Athletics for 3. They got the Royals. They got the Texas Rangers. They got the Athletics again, and they end with the Detroit Tigers for 4. That is, if you're a Mariners fan, you're salivating. Hopefully jinxing your own team, right?
That said, the Seattle Mariners have the longest playoff drought in sport going currently, 21 years. Since they have played a playoff game. This is a team that finds ways to miss the playoffs. If any organization can do it, it is the Seattle Mariners. But that said, I don't think there's any way that they fall out of where they're at right now in this wild card race.
All right. Thanks for that great comment then in Discord from Ian.
Can you tell that I've yelled my voice away over the weekend? Like I'm just
Manoa! I can tell. All right. So last week, the MLB released the balanced schedule for 2023. So away go the Yankees for 19 games. Away go the Rays for 19 games. It is not a completely balanced schedule, right? It is not a completely even schedule, but it is definitely a step towards that. And Sentimental Hygiene, which, by the way, is a username I don't understand, but it cracks me up every time, in Discord said, I love the new schedule. I've heard some really smart people complain about it, though. More travel sounds like the biggest complaint. I think it results in more wins for the AL East and the NL West, being the dominant divisions. But you never know, because this is baseball we're talking about. So, Scott, how do you feel about the balanced schedule?
Well, I'll let you take this one a little bit, because I know we were talking off air before you hit record just about the universal DH rule. And I think that was a really good point if you want to kind of frame.
Yeah, the point is, I mean, and this was just something I think I heard on Blair and Barker. I don't know who they were talking to, but the universal DH was like poo-pooed as an idea for years.
Years.
And now that it's here, we've heard zero complaints. Like, it's just old, stubborn people being old and stubborn. And then once it's here, they're just like, all right, this is great. I still love baseball.
American League fans have known for years.
Of course. Of course. Like, how badly do I want to see Marcus Stroman batting? Like,
I don't
at all. Yeah. Like,
I mean, it's a fun little, for American League fans, it was a fun little twist when you'd go to a National League stadium and you'd watch your pitcher hit. But honestly, like, it has been so much better for baseball, in my opinion, anyways, with this universal DH. And I think you're nailing it, man. I think it's going to be good for baseball to have this schedule more balanced. Like, we were talking about this off air, but literally, how often has Cincinnati Red fans got to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani? Have the Angels even ever been to Cincinnati since these two were on the team? Like, we'd need to look it up, but I'm just throwing out examples here.
Maybe not.
Even look as Jays fans. We haven't had the opportunity to watch Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, some of these like top guys with the Padres or even the Dodgers. So I think it's just cool for all the fans in all of the markets to get to see the superstars on other teams.
Well, we are at least 80 games away from seeing Fernando Tatis Jr. play in Toronto. Hate to break it to you. Hate to break it to you. No, balanced schedule's good. Yeah, it's great. I mean,
as an AL East fan, like, neither of us want to see Baltimore and the Rays 19 times a year, right?
No.
Like, I'm fine with it going down to 14 games.
Yeah, no, this is great. As far as, like, the travel complaints, I don't even know what to say. I mean, you're a road comic. How much fun is traveling all the time?
Well, it's not great, but if you look at 2022, I mean, and this shortened schedule, like, it can't be worse than this year, right?
Right? No, of course not. Yeah, it's going to be the same amount of home games. Like, I don't know. I feel like, and this is candidly coming from someone who does not fly 3 times a week, okay? So I will put that asterisk on it. But I would have to imagine the times that I do fly, whether it's to Texas or to Seattle or to Toronto or from Edmonton to Calgary, going to the airport
is the worst part.
Going through security, like the actual time of like sitting in my chair watching a movie is easy. Like, that's the easy part. Whether I'm there for one movie or whether I'm on that plane to watch 2 movies, I don't really care. But I don't know. Maybe the jet lag and the time zones are a bigger deal. But I just think
it is.
It's good.
It is a big deal. But I really, and again, what do we know?
It's the same amount of home games, and it's going to be the same amount of flights. It's just going to be some flights are now 3 hours when in the past they would have been an hour and a half or 45 minutes. I don't. And
you hope the scheduler pulls it off. You know, like, it is all going to be. You know, like, there's a difference between going LA to San Diego than there is going LA to Atlanta.
Is the scheduler a job?
Yep. Oh, you bet.
Why? Why is that not a computer thing? Like, that feels like an Excel spreadsheet job could take care of that.
I'm sure there's a lot of.
I think
I'm sure a lot of it is based on the computer.
I bet you whoever is the MLB scheduler does nothing.
Has a great program.
They have a great algorithm and an Excel spreadsheet that they have not told anyone about, and they spend every day working hard at their new schedule. But all they're doing is hit and enter on the new spreadsheet and going, yeah, that looks good. This seems right. I don't think that's a real job. I don't know. I feel like there are just conditions you enter into your thing and the computer does the math. You know, like, hold on. If I am going to plan a route from Edmonton to Winnipeg, right? Google takes care of my route.
I was
right?
just going to say Google is heavily involved.
I can adjust it, and they can say, do you want to avoid highways? Do you want to take the shortest distance or the shortest travel time, right? And then it does all the math. Do you want to avoid ferries? Well, that's great because you're going from Edmonton to Winnipeg. So there's
no ferries involved.
No ferries involved. What a stupid thing for me to say. Anyways, I just feel like there has to be a Google Maps of MLB scheduling that is just like here's the 30 teams. Here's the conditions of who has to play each other how many times. And then you hit enter and it's like, we want the fewest amount of plane flights. We want I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of Winnipeg, I don't think I've seen Mustard Tiger in Discord in a while. So we'll send out an SOS for Mustard Tiger. Speak up, buddy.
Yeah.
We miss you.
Miss Mustard Tiger. All right. Next comment is related to that, I think. This one came in from Devin on TikTok, of all places. I don't typically respond to messages on TikTok. I use it exclusively for sharing hilarious videos, but we got this one. So Devin says, I feel like a full playoff of 8 teams would be good for baseball. Other than the, and he puts in quotes, purists' perspective, what's the downside?
Well, I hate that.
I know you hate it.
I'm that purist that
you're
really?
the purist.
Like,
I love it. Look, okay, I'm looking at the standings right now. So we got Houston, New York Yankees, Cleveland Guardians with the division leaders. Then we got the 3 wild card teams: Tampa Bay, Seattle, Toronto. Below that, we got Baltimore and Minnesota. Minnesota versus Houston in the first round, Baltimore versus the Yankees, Toronto versus Cleveland, and Tampa Bay, Seattle. Like, that just has 12 hours of baseball from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. written all over it. And I'm there for it. Like, you know how good the first round of the NHL playoffs are, Scott? It's amazing.
See, I disagree. I think the best rounds of the NHL playoff by far are the second finals.
Round. That's it.
No. The second round is when it gets really good because it gets rid of all the
fluff.
You know, the yeah.
You're like, I don't need to see the Nashville Predators play in the. Anyways, all right. I don't know. Like, I'm here for it, man.
There's so much. Okay, so number one, if they're going to play 162 games in a year, it's to like shake out the teams that are just mediocre. Like, why do we want to watch the Minnesota Twins? Why? Unless you're in Minnesota. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand being a fan, but like, I want to watch the best baseball.
Okay, well then let's get rid of the like division winners making the playoffs because the Minnesota Twins might still make the playoffs.
I know.
So what's your point? Let's just do away with divisions then. Let's just have the top 6 teams regardless of division, especially with a balanced schedule.
I'm all for that.
You love this idea. I don't know. Okay, so we just spent the first half hour of the show talking about the beauty of September baseball.
Yes.
This is a treat that is almost better than playoff baseball.
The pennant race, baby. Yes.
This is the race. This is it. Like, this is the push. And if it was an 8-team put, like if there was 8 spots, I just think that you get more fan bases that get to enjoy this, right?
I think it diminishes it. It makes it less special. Teams are just going to make the playoffs all the time.
They'll just roll out of bed and be like, "Oh, I'm a playoff team." I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I feel like we've been saying this every year as the playoffs continue to get bigger. We're at 6 teams now. Look at Baltimore. Baltimore didn't just roll out of bed and make the playoffs. Like, Baltimore, those fans have got to be elated right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think they'd be making the same push if it was the old format with the 5 teams?
Yeah.
Do you think Baltimore would be this close of a contender?
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, it would be the same stats, right?
You say that, but it's not. Like, psychologically, it's just when when that mountain is that much bigger, I feel like when it's less attainable, it's, I don't know, easier to get discouraged and be like, well, we're never going to surpass the Rays and the Red Sox and the Jays. Like, I don't know.
Then
I
they're
think
weak.
It's great. They're weak. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right.
But in your defense and in my defense, this is a point that we have disagreed on since we started this podcast over 2 years ago. So,
yes, we are nothing if not consistent. As we make our first episode in 10 days, and I'm bragging about our consistency. All right, we'll end on this last one here. Comes in from Wyatt on our Patreon, actually. Got this one in.
nice.
So Wyatt sent this one in for last week, and then chaos happened, and we didn't get to air it. So last time we recorded this, we got halfway through Wyatt's comment, and then my computer crashed. So here's hoping it goes better this time. So Wyatt says, hey guys, a couple of questions for Monday's mailbag. First one is, and we'll get to these one at a time. So the first one is, how long do you realistically think Shohei Ohtani can keep up the MVP caliber playing before he gets injured or starts to drop in performance? And then as an example, he says, pitching 7 scoreless innings one night and then batting third the next day has to be hard on the body through 162 games every year. No? Thoughts?
I mean, I wish we had a crystal ball. This is really a roll of the dice, in my opinion. It's impossible to predict injuries. It's impossible to predict when a guy might go down. I don't know, man. Like, it's a great question, and do they need to be preventative with this? Do they need to scale back his pitching? Do they need to try and get him to pick one or the other? That might be something that in the next few years we see. That said, man, he's a unicorn. He's one of the most impressive human beings to ever play the game.
Well, you know what they say about unicorns. They're put on this earth to be hunted down and have their tears and their horns harvested. So,
saying as old as time.
saying as old as time. All right. Well, you brought up an interesting point. Let's just take the angle of you only get one Shohei Ohtani. You get the pitcher or you get the hitter, right? Let's just say you had the crystal ball and you see catastrophic failure imminent by pushing him down both paths. But you see longevity and success through either path. Pitching, but not hitting anymore, or just hitting and not pitching anymore. Where does Shohei Ohtani have more value to you?
So if in this scenario, they're both healthy no matter which route he takes, right? Mm-hmm. If he's healthy no matter which route he takes, pitching is probably where he is going to be the most valuable, in my opinion. It is just so difficult to get that true ace, that guy who throws 101, the dude who goes out every single 5 games and pitches 7 innings, who is going to be that stopper whenever you're on a losing streak, who is going to go in there and be a stud. There aren't very many of them. There's probably 5 in baseball, and Shohei is one of them currently. Look at how valuable and how much Alek Manoa has done as that guy for the Blue Jays since he's come up.
Yeah.
Now, that said, if there is a position that is more likely for a player to get injured at, it is pitching. Humans are not supposed to throw 101 miles an hour, let alone do it for 100 pitches every 5 days.
Yeah, not a lot of DHs require Tommy John. I'll give you that. That is statistically accurate.
He plays good outfield, so he could be an outfielder. He's always played well at left field. The Angels have never put him out there much because they're just like, listen, We're letting
okay.
you play both sides of the field. We don't need another opportunity for you to get injured.
Well, I mean, here's another question then for 2023. And I mean, let's modify things a little bit and pretend that the Angels are a playoff team or like a competent franchise. They have to like manage Mike Trout's freak back health that is now something that can't be ignored. Mike Trout is going to become I don't want to say full-time DH, but a more often than not DH. You got to put Shohei Ohtani in the outfield when he's not pitching if you want his bat in the lineup. So how do you think, let's just say that's the case. Let's just say Mike Trout plays outfield a third of the time, just to make the math simple. And the other 2/3 of the time, he's your DH. So you're only going to get Shohei Ohtani to DH for a third of the time. The rest of the season, are you putting him in the outfield? Pitching him every 5 days and putting him in right field 3 or 4 games a week? That's a lot.
So, yes, I am.
Okay.
I think the Angels are going to, too. I think that Mike Trout is going to see some more time at DH. I think that he'll probably even see some time at first base.
Yeah, that's probably a good move.
It's an interesting quagmire they're in. Who knows if Shohei Ohtani's even an Angel at the end of the year? This shroud of mystery around the ownership. What's happening there? Is Artie Moreno going to sell the team? Shohei Ohtani's also a free agent at the end of 2023. And if he's already proved anything, it's that let's look at George Springer. One of the big reasons, and it hasn't been really focused on, but I think one of the big reasons he chose Toronto was they promised him
that he wasn't going to have to pitch.
Yeah, well, that he can stay the leadoff guy. Even though you look at the stats and you're like, George Springer should be hitting second or third. He should, he's getting older. He's still one of the best leadoff guys in the game. But, I mean, his bat projects much better with the power in his OPS at that 2-hole. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee when the management sat down with him, they're like, yeah, listen, not only are we going to give you $150 million, but we'll put a little clause in here no one else has to know about that. We'll make sure that if you want to stay the leadoff guy, I don't know if this is true or not, but it just, players decide what they want, and in free agency, they hold all the cards. And if you're the best player to maybe ever play baseball, I know that's very argumentative, but I think it's safe to say that Shohei's at least in the top 20 guys to ever play the game. So if you're that type of talent, organizations are going to do whatever you want to make sure that you sign on the dotted line with them. So if Shohei is out there and he's like, listen, I need to continue to DH and I need to continue to pitch or I'm not signing, I think there's still every single team out there that is going to be like, yeah, absolutely, whatever you want, Shohei.
I agree with you on everything you just said. And I just want to ask one last question. And I already know your answer as a baseball purist. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Health of baseball players is important, if not paramount. Right? Might be the most important thing. Even to owners, because owners don't like spending money on players who aren't playing. Right? Can we agree on that?
Your product. It's all assets.
So, with the expansion of the DH to the NL, with the prospect of the PitchCom device, right? Maybe catchers aren't calling the games anymore. Maybe now it's a guy in khakis, right? And the game continues to shift towards like the most athletic and let's just maximize efficiency in our athletes and whatever, right? And the way bullpens are used and AAA is like an extension of the bullpen throughout the season, right? And all that roster manipulation and everything that goes on there. Do you see or think that we could be within the next, I don't even want to put a timetable on this, but within the next chunk of time, more than one DH spot on a team?
Interesting.
Because right now, your pitcher is always your DH, but there's more and more teams where you're like, well, it'd be nice to have this guy out there defensively, but also it'd sure be nice to get George Springer's bat in the lineup, or it'd sure be nice to get Fernando Tatis Jr.'s bat in the lineup, or it'd sure be nice to get Mike Trout's bat in the lineup. Like, there's just Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. There's just more teams that are having these predicaments where it's like 162 games is a grind, and we can't keep our best lineup offensively out there because too many guys need rest days. You see what I'm saying?
Like the strategy. I like the strategy of needing to try and massage the lineup to pull it off with just as is.
I know, but
and maybe it is.
Now you're talking like an NL manager who's like, I like the strategy of having to pitch my pitchers or hit my pitchers. And
well, I don't know.
I'm not saying I think this is a good idea. Again, I'm just thinking like this is. I feel.
Well, if you're just gonna ask me, I don't have a real reason other than I don't like it. I think part of the game is you need to be able to play on both sides of the field if you're a position player. Like,
I know,
that's what separates bench players from everyday players.
Sure, but the part where you say like the asterisk of if you're a position player is already kind of arbitrary. Like, we don't ask we don't expect our pitchers to do it. So like, it is just like an arbitrary requirement at this point.
Well, then I'm just going to take the old man route and be like, I don't care. I want it the way it is. Don't change.
I'm there with you. All right. I think I like that too, but I don't know. I mean, maybe in the next CBA that gets negotiated in where they're like, hey, this new balanced schedule, the travel's so fatiguing. I mean, guys are burning out. You know, you guys want expanded playoffs and blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. If you told me 10 years from now that there's a second DH, I wouldn't be shocked by it, I guess is what I'm saying. So
that's fair.
All right, man. We are at the 1 hour mark of our mailbag. So let's wrap it up here. Oh no, you know what? We got one more from Wyatt, the second part. And we'll get this in quick. If the Blue Jays move Bichette to second base and they go out and acquire a Carlos Correa or someone of that ilk to play shortstop, what becomes of Santiago Espinal? Will he be a part of a trade in the big shakeup this offseason? Still love the show. Keep up the awesome work. What do you think? Espinal, how's this all shake down?
Honestly, all-star Santiago Espinal, who's had an incredible season with this Blue Jays team, but has definitely regressed to kind of the player that he was last season in the last couple months. He's expendable. He's 100% expendable, especially with how well we've watched Cavan Biggio step up over the last couple months. Cavan Biggio is who we wanted him to be in 2019. Bichette and Biggio in this lineup have become exactly what all of the fans were excited about when they first were called up. Yeah. And Cavan hits left. He's got a much better eye than Santiago does. Yeah, I think that if Bichette is moved to second, and that's a big if, that Santiago's probably the odd man out.
Santiago has value on the trade market, right? Okay.
Of course he does. Absolutely.
Okay. Is Santiago's regression the argument for trading Alejandro Kirk as fast as possible this offseason? Well, honestly, what do you think of Alejandro Kirk? I mean, we can just keep this brief and then we'll get out of here. But Alejandro Kirk, do you think this is the guy who is the guy for the next 15 years in Alejandro Kirk's life? Or is there regression around the corner?
I think Alejandro Kirk is an excellent catcher. I think he's going to be right around what we're seeing out of him for the next 5 years. I think Alejandro Kirk is definitely going to need a lot of time at DH, probably 3 out of every 5 games.
Hey, if there is a second DH position...
There you go. Problem solved.
Sorry, I'm just being stupid.
I think if you look, I think if you look at the Blue Jays catching situation, he just makes the most sense to move. I'm not advocating for it. I'll be happy with whatever this front office decides to do. But we've talked millions of times about the experience of a starting catcher and what Danny Jansen does when he calls a game and how comfortable this starting staff is with him and the stud that is Gabriel Moreno coming up the ranks. It just feels like Alejandro Kirk is the guy that is probably on the move, especially when you look at George Springer's health and the fact that he's going to need a lot of time at DH over the next few years.
So what you're telling me is some sort of a package, Espinal, Bichette, and Kirk for Shohei Ohtani this offseason. It's official. Lock it in. Okay, I'm with you, Scott. I like it. I like it.
Way to read between the lines. Thank
adding
you,
a
sir.
pitcher. Yeah, we're reading between the lines. We're being very generous.
All right, let's get out of here before this whole thing crashes. This is literally where we were at last week.
Yeah.
Okay, Patreon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Go ahead,
Patreon.
buddy. You got the...
Patreon.com/The Walk Off Podcast. Big thank you to the support we've gotten from David, Abraham, Michael, Sarah, John, Simon, Rashid, Joshua, Jeremy, Ian, Dunedin, Bob, John, Wyatt, and Patrick. Patreon.com/The Walk Off Podcast. $1 a week. Help us keep the lights on. We've got our movie reviews. We've been slacking on that. We have early access to our interviews. John Gibbons coming on the show very soon. We have a Jose Berrios jersey that we're going to announce the winners of Friday.
We also have a giveaway to a Patreon that our good buddy Garth Yorgi is giving a package of cards away, baseball cards. There's
some good ones in there
cool
too.
Stuff, some really good ones in there. So we'll get that name to Garth ASAP. We'll let everyone know about the Berrios jersey ASAP. If you've yet to message us as to why you want the Berrios jersey, do it now because we are going to draw the name ASAP. Again, we are going to get back on the movie review train. We'll probably try and pound one out here in the next week or so. Battered Bastards of Baseball, one of my favorites. If you haven't watched it, check it out. We are going to get back on the series previews. Again, this has not been something Adam and I are thrilled about. It's been technical difficulties and very frustrating, but we feel like we're back on our feet. We should have a new computer thanks to all of you very shortly. Thank you to all of you within the Walk-Off community. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk-Off Podcast, Instagram, the Walk-Off Podcast. Join the Discord. The link is in the show notes. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.